with the first pick.
Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Memory Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bringing you my 2013 preseason NFL Draft Prospect Rankings video. We're going to be looking at the wide receivers. We're going to take an early look at some guys that I have marked as my top prospects heading into the season. So let's just start the video by looking at my #1 preseason prospect.
I have Keenan Allen rated as my #1 receiver going into 2012. This guy is 6'3", 206, great hands, and is tremendous after the catch. He lacks the bulk that you want out the receiver prospects, and he also gets lazy with the football in his hands, swings it out away from his body. That can result in fumbles, drop passes, things of that nature. But overall, this guy has a tremendous skill set and is a very good player, explosive player, and is a game breaker. So there's a lot to like about Keenan Allen going into 2012. Next up is Derrick Rogers, formerly of the University of Tennessee. He recently was put off the team. 6'3", 215 pounds, big wide receiver. Already has that pro body, very strong hands as well. And what I like about him the most is his body control. And that's one thing you don't see a lot of receivers do nowadays, is position their bodies well enough to where they can catch the football and keep the defenders away from it. And that helps overcome the fact that he doesn't have the blazing speed. So there's a lot to like about him. He has to clean up his act off the field with the drug allegations and all other stuff that's going on. If he gets cleaned up off the field, he's definitely a great prospect. That's why I still have him rated #2 off talent alone. Justin Hunter plays opposite of Derrick Rogers, and this guy is a very good prospect in his own right. 6'4", 200 pounds. He's a junior this year, super athletic, and he has the speed to take it the distance. I like the fact that he's a natural route runner, and he also high points the football very well. And when we talk about his athleticism, we talk about a guy that was a former high jumper in high school. So you know he has no problem going get the football when it's in the air, and that also means he's very explosive. He's coming off an ACL injury, so this year we're going to watch and see how well he's able to bounce back from such a gruesome injury that we saw against the University of Florida. I'm a big Cobi Hamilton fan. He's the first senior that cracks my list, my top 10. And I look at his size, 6'3", 210 pounds, physical guy. He's fearless, very good run after the catch ability. And the reason why I like that about him is he reminds me a lot of Terrell Owens in that he looks to score. Solid acceleration. So he may not be the burner, but this guy can accelerate. He gets to his top speed faster than you get to your top speed. And that's all you really need in football. And I love the way he doesn't mind going across the middle. The only thing he has to work on this year is improve route running. He has to become quicker in and out of his breaks, and that can help him catapult up this list later on in the process. I'm excited to see Marcus Wilson in Mike Leach's offense. This guy is 6'4", 185. I don't think Leach ever had a receiver this big. And what he has to improve on, he has to gain bulk, he has to gain strength, and he has polite hands, I like to call it, which means he has to get violent when he gets off bump press. But there's no doubting his explosive nature. And we always talk about talent superseding system. So don't call this guy a system player if he puts up huge numbers this year in Leach's offense. He's going to put up huge numbers because he is a breakaway threat, quite possibly the softest hands in college football. You can tell he's been coached very well, catches everything with his hands, looks it in, tucks it away. I like that about him. So there's going to be a lot of excitement this year coming out of Pullman, Washington, because of the Cougars going to be a lot better this year, and Marcus Wilson will be a very explosive player. Robert Woods of USC has been a playmaker since he stepped foot on campus. This guy's a quintessential game breaker. You put the ball in his hands and great things happen. Tremendous run after the catch ability, and he's also versatile. He could be a kick returner or a punt returner. He can excel in both spots on the football field. What I like most is that he sacrifices his body. He goes across the middle, diving for footballs. You never see receivers dive for footballs anymore. He has to work on getting off bump press. That can be a result of strength. He got to use this. He got to get better in the weight room, and he also has to develop more routes. You see him just running straight. You see him running those bubble screens. That may be a part of the USC's offense, but if he can improve on that, this is a guy that can catapult up this list later on in the season. Devin Austin is quite possibly one of the more exciting players in college football. Breakaway speed is an understatement. This guy is a true blazer and also has very good return skills, so he can help you out as well, just like Robert Woods in kickoff return game and punt return game. And it's very tough going across the middle despite his 5'9", 175-pound frame. If you're good enough, you're big enough. He does lack ideal bulk. He has to hit the weight room a little bit more, in particular the lower body. If he can thicken out his frame a little bit, then this guy can definitely jump up the draft boards. But right now, he's probably going to be nestled in as a mid-round pick. He does have the talent and will always produce if you just give him the football and put it in his hands. bit of a sleeper here with Norman White from Villanova. This guy has the body you want. 6'4", 215 pounds. Athleticism is through the roof. Great body control. We talked about that earlier, and he's also a natural hands catcher. He's coming off an injury last year, and I think if he would have stayed healthy last season, he would have challenged Brian Quick as the top guy coming out of the FCS ranks. I love the way he plays the game. He's going to be a big part of his Wildcat offense, so look for him to have a bounce-back campaign this season and put up some monster numbers for the Wildcats. One thing that jumps out at you first about Marcus Davis of Virginia Tech is that he's very physical. 6'3", 225 pounds. He gets to manhandle defensive backs and plays above the rim, which means he goes and attacks the football while it's in the air. He doesn't wait for it, doesn't really catch with his body, does a great job of catching with his hands. He has to utilize those same hands to do a better job of getting off bump pressing. He doesn't have that long speed, so you question whether or not he'll be able to separate from guys at the next level. That's the biggest question I have about Davis. Rounding out my top 10 is Mike Shanahan of Pitt, 6'5", 225 pounds. Very good route runner. This guy, for a guy that size to run excellent routes, that's a rarity. Great body control as well, and does a great job of catching the football with his hands. Doesn't have the speed that you want out of a top wide receiving prospect, but he does get open because of the great routes. He also hasn't got the credit he deserves because he plays in an offense where the quarterback play is spotty at best, and he's limited upside. In my opinion, what you see is what you're going to get out of Mike Shanahan, but nonetheless, I think he's going to have a productive year, new offense, and put up some solid numbers for the Pitt Panthers. Here's some other top receiver prospects in the country you want to keep an eye on going into 2012, as they can easily get into this top 10 as the season progresses, but these are some guys that you want to look out for this season.